My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld,
But there will be time for your reckoning later.
has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of the dead.
Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. You did?
Sentius, of course.
Galerius.
Sentius.
Galerius.
Galerius.
The man who treated my rheumatism. Galerius.
I'm impressed. What did you find in there?
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
You have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Gallus Galerius Helva.
I just want to say, this isn't something I ever wanted. Now that you've put your trust in me, I'm going to do everything I can not to let you down.
You know, you remind me of him.
Turn this fool to gold.
Nothing really. It won't be long before the golden rule is broken. And everything will be reset.
Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit.
Follow me. talking about? Most impressive. What did you do with Scintilla?
Oh, thank you. Now follow... Wait. Did you hear that?
Where is she?
I'm right here, Father.
If anyone so much as touches me, everyone dies.
And when you disobey, and you always disobey,
The many shall suffer
I have his
for
key.
the sins
I
of
can
the
open the
one.
gate. Come on, we have to go.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You're unlike the others. Long ago, my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords: desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. No. Long ago, I swore to Proserpina that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that. This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal. Your gaze lingers too long. That is my servant. You would have met by the river.
I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned from 5,000 years of experience.
Though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutubal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Ferryman. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you, without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek? You know far too much now, and would only corrupt the wager. You will remain here as my servant until the wager is won, or the golden rule is broken. It is not open for discussion. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called golden rule? That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it? It is entirely unfair. My love was dying, and I intervened the only way I could to save her life. What would you have done? It was an act of rebellion against the others. She knew I would have to act to save her, and I did because I loved her. Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. Ah, but I'm a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Of course not, because that would be absurd, just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals. Where to begin? Our lifespans exceed yours by thousands of years, in which time we accumulate vast wisdom and a mastery of technology you cannot begin to imagine. Because that is the source of our power over you. You could say that. My kin have no superiors. That is true. Go on. Make your point, mortal. Let me ponder that for a moment. If you are right, then it would follow that all this time I have been in the wrong. But no, the very thought of it grieves me. How can I accept your argument when doing so would make me a tyrant and a monster? Wait, what? What are you saying? You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true, it follows that my wager was fatally flawed from the beginning. But that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win. Why would he do that? Perhaps, but if that was so, surely I would have sensed his deception. How could I have been so blind for so long? Your words sting me, mortal. But perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot deny it any longer. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned, it wore away my hope of being with her again. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice. Quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, which you celebrate so much, could have such a dark underside? This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this, if I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Because doing so would violate the rules of my sacred agreement with Jupiter, and you would receive a hostile reception. The best I can do is return you to the land of the living. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest. Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready? Farewell, mortal.
Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt bondage, freeing a falsely accused prisoner, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that.
I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life.
Leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him?
I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together.
Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family, and Dooley too.
I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things, like brushing my teeth.
We're just so thankful for what you did for us, for all of us.
And the other people who lived here.
I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university.
If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone.
I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot. But some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca.
Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please.
Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea.
Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you.
Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
I live with Virgil in Rotterdam.
And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
Not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it rebuilt itself.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention. Indeed. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
Your gaze lingers too long.
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of a cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret. Telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day.
You see, my connection to the portal somehow preserves my memories from one door to the next. Whether that was Proserpina's intention or a happy accident, I'll never know.
And as a veteran soldier, he had long since shed his fear of death.
But I'm surprised you hadn't noticed. Here I was thinking you were a little bit sharper than Al was. Or perhaps you're just more willing to break the rules.
He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle.
I have found a way to prolong my life indefinitely. To cheat death. I have become, in effect, as immortal as the gods. Can you honestly say you would not wish the same for yourself?
Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him. And there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was.
Because I have grown attached to all this. My title, my beautiful villa, the sun on my face, the music of birds chirping. And as long as this day keeps repeating itself, I get to enjoy it all, over and over again, for eternity. Don't you see?
We are all fortunate you came along when you did.
What are you going to do? Beg the gods for help? They don't care about you, and neither do I.
I don't know what happened to him.
Wait, what? What are you saying?
I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way. Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind.
Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day. And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
And it hurts. Let me die. It hurts. Let me die. It hurts. And it kills me. Thank you.
Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.